Hey guys, welcome to Leadership for the Future, episode number 86, Warrior Scholar Sage, where every single week, for the most part, we've been dark a couple of times in the last month because it's been a really crazy month of travel. Was in Tampa last week at the Tampa Wealth Summit, and maybe some of you are here today. Had a great event there. My friend Jay Lee and his company WAN Global brought in a superior lineup of people to talk about wealth in all areas of life and the ways to go about making that happen. So anyway, I thank you for your patience. And I know we were dark last week, and we're right in the middle of an extensive series here of what we're calling the Leader Mastermind. And so we've had some gaps. Hopefully you're up to speed. If you haven't caught the previous episodes, then you can catch those on my YouTube channel and get yourself caught up, because we're going through these axioms of a leader mastermind and learning the psychology and the strategies to lead both your life and business, to level up both personally and professionally in every single area: financial, relational, mental, physical, spiritual, and yes, of course, for you entrepreneurs, which most of you are, that includes your business. So weigh in down below. If you're on Facebook, as always, do me a solid and just weigh in down below and tell me who you are and where you're dialing in from, tuning in from. It always does my heart glad to see how this community is growing around the globe. On Instagram, thank you for being here. On Twitter, we're on Twitter simultaneously as well. Thank you for being here. And you can also help me help you, help those that you love and care about on Facebook. It's right down here. Just hit that share button. Many of you do this every single week. On Twitter, you can retweet. On Instagram, you can invite people. You can share as well. And I really, really appreciate that, because God knows we need more leaders in this world. And the leaders that we're exploring and the leadership that we're talking about here is much, much more than a title or a position or a certain amount of money or any of those things which we typically call leadership. We're talking about really, truly walking your own walk, living your own life, building autonomy, and taking your power back, first and foremost, to lead your life and then lead your business. Now, we don't have shout outs today? Or we do? No? Okay, because normally we do shout outs to those of you who share, but this week we're not going to do that because we've been 2 weeks dark. So anyway, buckle your seatbelt, Dorothy, because this is a really important topic that we're going to explore here today. And it's actually episode number 2 in this very same topic. The last time we talked about hurry being fear in disguise, we had over 4,500 views. People were sharing it. People were commenting. And so I'm coming in for a second stab at this very same topic because it's such a mind bender, such a paradigm shifter, but it really, really needs to happen. So here we go. The person who's in a hurry, you ever find yourself to be that person? The person who's in a hurry has no patience and no true knowledge of who they really are and what they're capable of creating. Do you ever find yourself getting into a hurry? You think things have to happen right away? Well, that proves, and is proof positive, that you don't know who you truly are. And I'm not talking about your personality here. I'm talking about much, much, much more than that. And it proves that you don't really know what you're capable of creating, both in your life and business. You know, I remember years and years ago, I was in a hurry. When I first started my career, I was always in a hurry. And always, I still go at Mach 10. And I'm not suggesting you don't go at Mach 10. In fact, I think what you need to do is probably speed up. Because particularly in today's very, very quickly changing market, in this disruptive market in which we lead and live, you have to speed up. Because technology is speeding up, information is speeding up, and therefore you have to speed up just to stay up. Does that make sense to you? But I remember there's a big difference between being in a hurry and worry versus just moving quickly. And one of my mentors said to me years and years ago, James, you don't have to slow down. You just got to calm down. You just got to calm down. And so, you know, we continued our discussion of the axioms of the leader mastermind in our last installment. Again, we were a week dark. And we want to begin the topic here, continue the topic here of how hurry is just fear in disguise. We talked about it 2 weeks ago. And it's also a mindset of limitation and lack. Now, if that doesn't make sense to you, stick with me and take some notes. Take some notes. Here's what I can promise you. If you want to live a powerful life, both personally and professionally, you have to make finer distinctions. Are you with me? Does that make any sense to you? If you want to know more, you have to notice more. And the fact is, most people don't make fine distinctions. Most people's lives are just a blur of 9 to 5 and hurry up and get it over with so I can get to the weekend. That's not living, that's existing. Most people don't make finer distinctions. Most people don't know more and notice more. Most people notice less. I'm encouraging you to do just the opposite. Now, once again, if you're behind on these axioms, which we've been doing for some time now, you can go to my Facebook, not my Facebook, you're on Facebook, go to my YouTube page and catch up. We have them all libraried there, and I would highly encourage you, even if you're not behind, to go back and repeat them and go back through them, because repetition is the second law of learning and transformation. Now, I want to make some additional distinctions on exploring this next axiom. The true winner, the true leader, does not ever compete. What? Now that's a real paradigm shift in today's world, isn't it? But I'm going to suggest to you the true winner and the true leader never competes. What does he or she do? They create. Big difference. Now please pay attention and think, really think. When you are competing, you're comparing. Am I right? To be competing with someone, you have to be comparing to that someone. That's number one. Write that down. Number two, to compete is to believe that there are limited resources. Because in any competition, whether it's sports or business or romance, there's limited resources. There's only one winner. There's only one, person that you can get. There's only one leadership of the market. So to compete is to believe there are limited resources. Now, you might know the axiom that I've shared with you all the way back to the early 2000s, if not earlier. In fact, I think I wrote about it for the first time in my book, The Science of Success, in 1998. That's a while ago, where I stated energy flows where attention goes. Now, if you're putting your attention, think. If you're putting your attention on your so-called competitor, I want you to think about what this indicates. Because to compete is to compare. And if you're putting your attention upon only one prize, there are limited resources, well then energy flows where attention goes. And if you've been following along, you know that as you put into your mind, your individual mind, you also put that same thing into the mastermind, which we've explored quantum physics here. This is not airy-fairy. This is science. Modern science is way more exciting and sexy than science fiction in today's world. Now stick with me. If you're constantly comparing, you're focusing on your so-called competitions, actions, and creations. You with me? Therefore, you move towards what you focus on. What you give attention to must grow. And you're dooming yourself to create no more than their best effort. Did you follow me on that? Let me repeat that, because that's So few people understand this. And this is a game changer when you get it. If you're comparing and competing, then you're focusing your attention on your so-called competitors' actions and creations. Therefore, because energy flows where attention goes, you move towards what you focus on. What you're doing yourself to create is nothing more than their best effort. Is that the standard that you want to set yourself to? Now, this is true of plants, it's true of people, it's true of purpose. You may want to let that sink in deeply, really deeply. You see, the only competition, put this in your notes, the only competition that you're ever going to have in your entire life is the competition between your own disciplined and your undisciplined mind. That's the only competition you ever have. You want to compete? Have a competition between your disciplined and your undisciplined mind. You know, constantly I'm giving those that I coach, I'm giving those in my leadership program, I'm giving those that I mentor tools and techniques to discipline their mind. And the fact is, there's going to come days when you don't want to use them. There's going to be times when you don't feel like it. Am I right? I know this too. There are days I get up to say my proclamations, and instantly in the morning, the first thing I do is take control of my mind. Because I know that my mind is what creates all results, first and foremost. Not just thinking about it, but thinking drives feelings, and feelings drive actions, and actions drive results. And so I've got to take control of my mind, and particularly on the days I don't feel like it. You know, the days that you don't feel like it is when you absolutely must do it. And this takes willpower. Very few people have a whole lot of willpower. You know, they have willpower where maybe they can get themselves to go to the gym, or they have willpower where maybe they can get themselves not to eat certain junk foods, or they maybe have willpower to get to work on time, fill in the blank, but they don't have willpower across the board. And the most powerful willpower and the most difficult willpower you will ever have is the willpower to discipline your own mind. Because science tells us, psychology tells us that you have a negativity bias. Yeah, I don't care who you are. Me too. It's programmed into us. It served us way back in the Stone Age, not so much anymore. You have a negativity bias, which means that your mind is programmed to look for what's wrong, and to look for danger, to look for the negative things in life, because all the way back it kept your ancestors and my ancestors safe. But it doesn't do us very well anymore. And so that discipline of reprogramming your genetics, that discipline of reprogramming your 20, 30, 40 years of thinking, the discipline of shifting to opportunity versus problems is the greatest discipline you ever have, and it's great. It's the hardest work you ever do, and it's the most rewarding. I hope that makes sense to you. Now, secondly, to compete, as I've already stated and we've shared, is to believe there are limited resources that you can access and utilize. Well, that's horse hockey. That's a technical term. You know, it's small thinking, super small, maybe even stupid. Another technical term. Don't be stupid. You know, it's better to be ugly than it is to be stupid. All right? Don't be stupid. There are no limited resources in nature. None. None. Scarcity only exists in the lack of creativity in your own mind. You see, creativity, ideas, innovation, possibility is unlimited. The only limitation is your ability and your discipline and your willpower to access it. Does that make sense to you? The only limitation is the limitation of your own unwillingness to let go of the old now and embrace the new. Do you know how many people I interact with, I coach, I deal with, I do business with every single day who are living their lives by the past? And you say, oh, that's not me, James. Really? Don't be so certain. You know, living your life by the past is like getting on the highway in your city or state and cranking your car up to about, 90 miles an hour and drive down the highway looking in the rearview mirror instead of looking through the windshield. Not too smart. And yet, how many of us live our lives backing into the future, holding on to the past? Taking the past experiences and projecting those into our future and worrying about them and feeling bad about them and then bringing them back into the now and totally screwing them now. Not real smart. You see, the scarcity and the limitation is in your own mind. The scarcity and the limitation is in your own unwillingness to let go now and to embrace what's waiting to emerge through you. Look, let me give you a couple of examples. Currently, do you know there's approximately $80 trillion in circulation on the planet? Now, if you're taking notes, which I hope you are, 80 trillion is 80 followed by 12 zeros. So you might just want to write that down. I was going to put it on a flip chart here today, but we actually left it at one of our last events and it didn't make it back here, but that's okay. Just write it in your notes, 80, comma, 000, comma, 000, comma, 000, comma, 000, comma, decimal point 00 for the cents. And look at that number. And I want you to look at that number long and hard. That's how much is in circulation right now on this planet. And I don't know what your financial goal is, but if it's 100,000, put that up against 80 trillion and try as hard as you can to not think you're thinking too small. If your goal is 1 million, put that up next to 80 trillion and try as hard as you can to think that you're not still thinking too small. Put, 8 billion up against 80 trillion and try as hard as you can to think that you're not thinking too small. There's no lack of money on this planet. None. There's more than enough to go around. The only lack that there is in your lack of thinking. Are you thinking now? The only lack there is in your own lack, in your own ability to attract from the endless supply, 80 trillion, and it's going to grow, that exists all around you. Think about this. There's more than enough money to go around, and you say, well, James, I'm not getting much of it. Okay, well, recognition is the first law of learning and transformation. Recognizing it is the first step to making a difference and to changing it. Because the amount of money that you attract or not is directly correlated, write this down, please pay attention, is directly correlated to the value and the service you provide. If you're not getting enough of the 80 trillion that's in circulation all around us right now, then you're not yet being the operative word, you're not yet providing enough service and value to the world, period. Damn. Are you thinking? Are you thinking? Really thinking? You see, I've shared the stage, I've shared dinners with billionaires, and not one of them has ever told me they went after the money. Not one. Not one. Not one. So anyone who is coaching you and telling you that you have to go after the money, there's a lot of people out there, and if you're in the mindset that you have to go after the money, you ain't never going to get to the top of your game, because I've interviewed these people and I've shared the stage with these people, and not one of them went after the money. They went after something they were passionate about. They developed greatness in an area, and they provided tremendous service and value to the world, and the money came as a byproduct of following the meaning. And I hope you're listening, and I really hope you're thinking. You got to focus on the cause versus the effect. Let's look at food. There's no shortage of food. You say, James, there are people starving. Yes, there are. Doesn't have to be that way. can be solved about that fast. You know how? I'll give you a couple of ways. One very powerful way is if we were just to take all the grain that we feed our beef cattle to fatten them up so that we can eat fat beef meat and reallocate that to those who have no food, we would completely eradicate world hunger. Just that one move alone. Taking the grain that we feed and fatten our beef cattle with and reallocating it to those in need of food, and we would solve instantly world hunger. But you know what? We're probably not going to do it. Why? Because we think too small. We think too limited. We don't want to let go now of the old ways which no longer serve us. How about you? How about you? There's no value in lying to yourself. Is this resonating with you? Is this hitting a chord with you? Not to mention climate change. You know, we want to talk about climate change and how there's so much problem around the world with all this weird weather. Everywhere I go, everywhere I travel, people say to me continuously, and I'm sure it's the same for you in your hometown, man, the weather's really weird right now. Weather's really weird. It's hot when it's supposed to be cold. It's cold when it's supposed to be hot. Really weird weather. All this extreme weather. Well, let me tell you something. We can solve climate change about that fast. Do you know what the FDA will never tell you? It's not about carbon emissions. That's infinitesimal to climate change. The number one cause of climate change. Check the facts. Don't trust me. Don't believe me. Check your own facts. Because this is a fact. The number one cause of climate change in the world is beef cattle. It's beef cattle. And there's a couple of reasons for that. There's bovine emissions, figure out what that means, which are having an impact on the atmosphere. And we are mowing down currently approximately, get this, 150 acres every single minute of every single day of the rainforest, which are the lungs of the earth. You know why we're doing that? Let me repeat, 150 acres every single minute. You know, we've been here 25 minutes. Multiply 150 acres times 25. That's what's happened just since we've been having this discussion here right now. Every single minute of every single day, we're mowing down the rainforest, the lungs of our planet, to allow for more, wait for it, beef cattle grazing. You say, James, are you propagating vegetarianism here? No, I'm just giving you the facts. You make your own decisions. I make mine. You're an adult. I'm not here to make decisions for you. I'm here to educate you and to inspire you that you can make a difference. Because you know how you can make a difference? You can make more difference taking beef out of your diet for climate change. Taking beef out of your diet one day a week makes more impact on climate change than driving a Tesla. Fact. Are you saying not to drive a Tesla? No, I like Elon Musk. I think Teslas are pretty cool cars. But emissions are infinitesimal compared to what beef cattle is doing to climate change. What's the point? Small thinking. There's no shortage of food. There's no shortage of oxygen and healthy environments. There's shortage of big thinking. Leadership. Are you with me on this? Is this making any sense to you? Are you big enough and bold enough to step up and embrace the facts? At least consider them. There's no competition. There's no limitation except within you. Resources, ideas, innovations, inspirations are unlimited. What's lacking is your own willingness to boldly act upon them. So, that brings us to the next axiom, of the true leader mastermind. All that was a setup. Here it is. Write it down. The true leader and mastermind knows that he never needs to hurry. He doesn't need to compete. Because he knows that hurry is worry. And worry drops you out of the creative state. Worry creates stress. Worry creates dis-ease in the mind and in the body. So the true leader mastermind knows that he doesn't need to hurry, he doesn't need to compete, because he certainly doesn't want to worry. And he also knows that a mindset of limitation and lack in action is a lack in action, is a lack in thinking. Competition is scarcity. There is no scarcity. You get that? Let me repeat the whole thing, because I went off on a few tangents there. The true leader and mastermind knows that he doesn't need to hurry, he doesn't need to compete, because he knows that hurry is worry, and it's a mindset of limitation and lack. It's a mindset put into action of hurry that is grounded in limitation and lack. Competition, he also knows, is scarcity, and there's no scarcity. I've just told you that. I mean, look, the sun puts more energy on the planet every single hour than what the entire earth uses is in an entire year. Fossil fuels. Please. Please. One wind turbine can power 150 households for a year. Fossil fuel. Please. We got to think bigger. The time is now. We got to take our power back. We got to let go of the old to embrace the new opportunities. There's no limitation in lack. The limitation in lack stems from the competitive mindset. It stems from limited thinking. It stems from the small-mindedness that says this is the only way it can be done because that's the way it's always been done. So, let me ask you, are you a leader or an amateur? Once again, there's no value in lying to yourself. I'd much rather have you say to me, you know what, James, based on what we've talked about here today, I realize I'm an amateur. I gotta step up, because that I can respect. Because that says that you recognize your limited thinking. And recognition is the first law of learning and transformation. Until you recognize it, you never, ever, ever are empowered or enabled to do anything about it. There's no value in lying to yourself. Once you recognize it, you're empowered to change it, not until. Choose wisely. Don't slow down. Speed up. Just calm down. Just calm down. Just learn to create versus compete. Your future and all your results depend upon it. Do we have a link above my head here today for leadership? Yeah. Let me help you. Look, we're putting together a new community, a global community of new thinkers, big, bold thinkers from around the globe. And if you'd like to join that community and plug into that community and allow me to help you continue to think in new ways and bolder ways, then just click the link here on Facebook above my head. On Twitter, it's above my head. On Instagram, you're still going to have to go to the bio for now. But click the link and let's talk. Let's talk. Because I'd love to have you. The Leadership for the Future experience, a 5-day immersive where we really get down to business and basics. We let go of the old, both personally and professionally, so that we can embrace the new things that are emerging within us. Just waiting, just waiting, just waiting. Bumping up against the resistance of the old to come forth and to be created into your life and in your business. You interested? Just click the link. Let me help you. Your future and all your results depend upon it. I want to thank you for your attention. I want to thank you for your patience as we've gone dark. We will be back next week with our next episode in this still ongoing series of the Leadership Mastermind. Until we speak again, as always, share this. Share this. If you believe, like I do, that the world needs more leaders, and these things that we discussed briefly here today need to be heard by a lot more people, then just hit that share button. Please help me, help you, help those that you love and care about, help the world. Be a leader, live your purpose, and take your power back.